What's the most disturbing surprise you've discovered after moving into a new place? Mom used to tell me to stay far, far away from my grandpa. Grandpa had been a strange man, secretive, the type to act like he had skeletons in the closet. He got worse after Grandma died from heart failure, just 1 year after my aunt ran away. After that, Mom and Grandpa lived like strangers in the house until she moved away. Now, decades later, he left the house to me, and 4 months later, I wished he never did. The outside of the house looked run down and haunted, but the inside was meticulously clean and organized, which made it all the more weird when we found trails of ants in the kitchen near the pantry wall that exterminators couldn't fix. My husband told me not to think much about it, but it bothered me. I mean, the night before, I left out food and chocolates all over the counter, but not a single ant stole a bite. Not even a crumb seemed missing. They just marched toward that one spot like mourners visiting a grave. So one night, I followed the trail with a flashlight and watched them disappear into a specific spot in the wall. Just as I peeked into the wall, my husband jumped out from behind and scared the life out of me. Wow, Jumpy, what you looking at? I pointed at the ants while my husband joked, "Oh, Grandpa hiding bodies in the walls?" I rolled my eyes. You watch too many scary movies. But anyway, look, I tapped on the wall. The sound came back hollow. I think Grandpa covered up the first wall here and maybe dropped food inside. Or maybe a dead animal that the ants keep coming back to nibble on. My husband took control of the flashlight and smirked. Who's watching too many scary movies now? He scratched his hand and told me to wait excitedly while he went to retrieve tools he used for his hobbies. He came back with a fiber optic camera and fed it through the tiny crack where the ants entered. We watched the trail of ants feeding on dark patches, leading to more questions than answers. We called a contractor the next day to help open the wall section and get rid of those ants once and for all. But as the light hit the old wall, I felt my stomach completely flip. Those dark patches had been extensive dark brown stains on the inside of the drywall. The contractor's face went pale, falling back from the site. Holy marbles, this is blood. He tore through the rest of the wall and stumbled back. A lot of blood. Hey lady, I think you need to call the police. The police showed up and confirmed it. Blood stains splattered across in a pattern like someone had been brutally ended in the house. The officer taking photos had to step outside for air. I heard him tell his partner he had a daughter at home. I called my mom while they were setting up. Oh God, what's happening? She trembled, visibly shaken. The officers took photos and samples and started pulling more of the wall apart. They looked dejected. We're going to run DNA tests on the samples, but since there's no body, there's nothing we can do. My mom was sitting at the kitchen table with her head in her hands, looking so lost. She looked up at me with hollow, defeated eyes. An officer pulled the baseboard away and found something embedded in the dried blood. A small gold earring, clearly not mine or Mom's since we only ever wore silver. Mom's face flushed away its color. Her hands were trembling so badly she dropped it. I know that. My best friend from high school wore that. Melissa wore these on her last birthday. I gave them to her. I burst out into tears. Everyone told me she ran away. Oh God, my father ended her? The younger officer had tears in his eyes. Ma'am, we're going to find out what happened to your friend. I promise. The officers frantically scrambled to comfort her. I watched the entire thing with wide eyes, intrigued and disturbed all at once. Maybe it wasn't Grandpa, but then what if it was? The police wrapped yellow tape around the room, reminding us not to get near. It took half a day for them to announce an official reopening of my mom's best friend's cold case after DNA confirmed it was her blood. With permission, they searched all around the house for more clues. They found her body under the garden shed grandfather had built years ago. The detective also told us they found a baking spatula, the murder weapon, that he'd used still caked with dried blood. That's what the ants were after, he said quietly. The proteins in the blood and the sweet smell of icing on the spatula. Even after all these years, Mom hadn't stopped crying since we found the earring. Melissa trusted him. Her parents trusted him. I brought her to stay here. The realization that my grandfather was a murderer would have been enough to destroy us. But what broke my mother completely was finding Melissa's diary in the attic later that week. The last entry, the night before she died, said my mom's dad had been making her uncomfortable, following her around the house. She was planning to tell my mom the next morning. The ants disappeared the day they found Melissa's body, as if they'd finally completed their purpose. We sold the house after.